Hi, and welcome back to Brentwood Stories. Today is the first episode of the new Brentwood Bios miniseries, where, as you might have guessed, we feature a memorable member of the Brentwood community. Some individuals have grown up here, and even more have found themselves an inseparable part of the Brentwood community through their lives and actions. For today's interview, me and past Brentwood Stories guest Celia Vollmer check in with Robert Kannert, a former page and library clerk currently working for the Brentwood School District. Me and Celia, Robert's former supervisor, catch up with Robert as he shares some of his memories of Brentwood.
My name is Rob Kannert. I worked for the Brentwood Library from 2002 till 2015, which feels ages ago, but it also feels like just yesterday at the same time. I left in 2015 to pursue my teaching career, which I've been doing for 7 years now. I'm in Brooklyn, New York, teaching physical education and health. I also coach 2 sports as well.
Oh, which sports are those?
I coach varsity girls softball and JV boys basketball.
Oh, great.
So, Rob, what made you apply for a job at the library? Why did you come here?
So I knew a lot of people that were my age and older that were working, and they weren't too happy with their job. A lot of them did retail, a lot also did fast food restaurants, and they spoke about it, and they shared how they weren't too happy with their experience working there. I knew a couple of people that were working at the library. They said it was a great job, so I decided to apply for it, and I was fortunately hired.
So, what did you do early on at the Brentwood Library?
So when I started in 2002, I started as a page, and that just entailed taking care of the collection, making sure it's in orderly fashion, and also putting the books on the shelf as well. And if there were patrons that needed assistance with anything, I assisted them. I also helped out with the office. We had to do mail runs. We had to make photocopies for people that needed large jobs. So the job was very large and vast.
Now, over the years, I was your supervisor, and part of the experiences that we had for staff members in the circulation and page department was working with some of the volunteers and interns at the library. Some of them were interns with special needs. How did those experiences working with teens and adults with special needs help you in your current career?
It helped me tremendously because, when you're in physical education, it doesn't matter if a student is special ed, special needs, regular ed, somewhere in between. You have to service them, and you don't necessarily need a special ed certification. So we're taught and we're trained how to deal with a vast variety of needs. And, as research shows, you know, uh, physical activity and exercise, helps students and people with, mental illnesses or mental disabilities, physical disabilities. So, working with folks who are special needs when I was younger really, really prepared me for what I was going to do later on. And when I was in high school, I wasn't too sure I wanted to teach. Back before I decided I wanted to teach, I wanted to be a physical therapist. So, that I kind of shied away from. And then I decided I wanted to teach. But it's funny, um, working with students with special needs at the Brentwood Library, that actually propelled me for a next step that I would have taken between teaching full time and subbing. I got involved with one of the job coaches. I spoke to her and I asked how to get involved in her career because I needed something more stable in my life. Subbing isn't very stable, so I needed to get something that was more consistent. So after speaking to one of the job coaches, she put me in contact with her boss, and I was a job coach for a year before I started my full-time career. So that added another experience to my skill set.
That's awesome. While you worked here, we participated with the Suffolk County Probation Department in supervising teens who committed minor crimes and were sentenced to community service in lieu of incarceration. And it kept many, many teens in the surrounding community and in Brentwood out of jail. Many were hired after they completed their community service. Besides the basic job duties, what did you teach or talk to them about while you were supervising them and shadowing them? This was a really important program in this community. And did you learn anything from them?
I did learn a lot actually, and I didn't pry too much into what they did. And some of them actually just opened up to me and they explained, why they were there, and they realized they did wrong, and they actually enjoyed their experience doing community service at the library because they felt that they were doing something productive and they were giving back to the community, especially after doing something negative towards the community. They knew and they were cognizant of the fact that they were making amends with community and doing something to give back to the community.
One of the things that I really remember about you when I supervised you, that you had an incredible amount of patience. Patience with your coworkers, patience with people with special needs who needed a little more attention or had some anxiety working here at the library or in their personal lives, and also the kids who came for community service, including teens who came for community service requirements for graduation. How did you develop that patience level, and how does it serve you now in your life?
So patience is something that a lot of people don't have. And, growing up, people weren't very patient with me. So it's just, you kind of remember how you felt when someone wasn't patient with you. And you really have to make sure that you need to be patient with people because you don't know how they're feeling. You don't know what they're going through in their lives, trauma, if they have special needs. You really don't know that because we really didn't delve far into that because of HIPAA and FERPA laws. We weren't supposed to know that someone had a special need of any sort. So you just have to treat people kindly, with respect, and going into the world of teaching, especially now post COVID or still kind of during COVID, a lot of people lost family members, lost loved ones, and you really don't know what they're going through. So you really have to give them some patience, some time to kind of get acclimated, especially now that we're all back in person now. Remote is done in New York City. We were going on last year. So you have to give people an opportunity to adjust and get back to normal. So patience in the field of education is paramount, very important.
Oh, very interesting. Another question for you, Rob. Brentwood does have one of the most diverse groups of staff members on Long Island. What benefits did you experience working with such a diverse group of people?
I must say that is something I'm very, very proud about. I'm proud to say that I grew up in Brentwood due to that diversity, because when you go out into the real world, you're not going to just be around one um, type of demographic. You're going to have to work with a vast um, variety of people, and you learn a lot of different things. You learn about different cultures. You learn what their customs are, what are the do's and don'ts with talking to people of certain cultures. You learn that you shouldn't shake hands with the opposite gender of certain cultures. So you learn a lot, and it prepares you, especially if you're going to work in New York City, because New York City is very, very there's a variety of different cultures in New York City. So you learn a lot, and it really, really prepared me for what was going to happen on later on in life.
Are there any meaningful friendships or relationships that you developed over at the library that you've maybe carried over since then?
I've carried over a few, yes. One of my good friends, Fernando Wong, who worked at the Brentwood Library around the time that I was there, who served the Marines. He left for a little while to serve our country, which I appreciate. I love our military. I love our armed forces. So anyone who's listening, I appreciate your service, and I thank you for your service. He's a friend that I've had for a really long time. We still talk now. We get together, we go to concerts, we go to some shows. Another colleague, Adabel, who's now a librarian over there. We go to shows as well once in a while. It's been a couple of years since I've seen her, but those are two very good friends that I have still to this day.
What would you say is some of your favorite moments while working here at the library?
One of my favorite moments would be working down in the computer department, because it gave me an opportunity to teach people skills that they didn't have before they came to us. Technology is ever growing, ever changing. And if you're someone that didn't grow up with that technology, or is just learning it for the very first time, I was able to teach them some skills um, to better give them a better experience while they're at the library, and not be so frustrated. And again, teaching, it prepared me to teach people, and get ready for my career that I was trying to pursue.
Now, how many years were you a page? Because you were promoted to a library clerk.
Yes, and coincidentally, I was actually promoted in October 2004 or 5. I believe it was 2004 of October. So this is an anniversary interview for me. So I was paged for about 2 years, 2.5 years, and then I got the phone call. And when I got the phone call, I actually thought I was in trouble, because I was called down on my day off for for my promotion. But they tipped me off. They were like, "Don't worry, everything's okay." I was like, "Okay, okay." So I was like shaking, and then they told me that I was promoted. So it was really good time, and I'm very thankful for that opportunity.
That's fun. What would you say to someone that might be interested in working over here at the library?
I would say go for it. Don't think twice. In general, if you're thinking about doing something, just do it. Take the shot. You'll never know what it's like until you actually sit there and you do it. You might like it. You might decide, this is for me. I want to do this as a career for the rest of my life. So you won't know until you do it.
We have sponsored many blood drives over the decades with Long Island Blood Services. And what motivated you to donate blood while you were a staff member here? And for those who don't know, he has returned almost every single blood drive that we have had since he left Brentwood Public Library.
That's right. I have my gallon card, and I actually donated when I was at work a couple of years ago, and I went to all my students, and I was flashing around my gallon club card. I said, "Look at me, I'm in the gallon club." So, the main thing is helping people. I always love helping people, and when you learn what your blood can do, it's not just about people that need blood. There's people that need platelets because of clotting disorders that they have. So I learned more about the body donating blood, because the people that I interacted with, the phlebotomists that take your blood, they tell you what it's for. And, there was a few times that I went and they said, they started bringing in the ALIC machine to do plasma.
Right.
They asked if I wanted to do the plasma donations. And just by asking questions, you learn more. So I'd say, well, what's that for? And they would tell me, and I'd say, all right, well, what does it entail? So they explain, and I said, let's do it. And the library was great with being flexible and allowing us to do that and take the time to help someone out. And now the people need blood more than ever. I'm getting text messages almost every week how much of a shortage there is.
Yes, there is. Yes.
Terrible. So I need to get back out there, and I need to donate more, because it has been some time.
Oh, that's incredible. So what plans are there for you in the future?
So the future, we are going through a little bit of a transition at my school right now. My principal is leaving. I'm not sure when. I'm hearing either by January or definitely by the end of the year. Definitely by the end of the year, we're losing him, and we're losing an assistant principal. My current athletic director is looking to move into the assistant principal role. And right now, I'm kind of being in the shadows of him, shadowing him and helping him out with the athletic director job, and just assisting him, because he's also a tech person right now. So with all the tech stuff that he has to do, he doesn't have time to really do the administration portion of the athletic director job. So I'm kind of um, shadowing him and kind of learning that role. And I'm most likely going to be moving into that role next year, possibly.
That's wonderful.
It's very exciting.
One of the benefits that a lot of kids who come to work at the library, or even clerical staff that come into the library, don't realize that they have that opportunity to go into the New York State pension system as part of their benefits of working at a civil service library. How is that going to help you over time?
I talk about it all the time. One of the best things I did as a teenager was when I was filling out all my paperwork after getting my promotion, and Mrs. Girk asked me if I wanted to pay into the pension program. The best thing I ever did was say yes, because I was able to take that, everything that I put into that pension program and transfer it to my TRS. Okay, so now I'm in tier 4. Everyone that started with me when I first got my job as a teacher in 2015, I started out tier 6. Now the tiers are very, very different, as you both know. And
Yes.
there's a drastic difference between tier 4 and tier 6, because that changes the amount of years that you have to put in and the age in which you can retire. So instead of having to wait 30 years and when I'm 62 to retire, I'm in the 55-25 program, and I can retire. I'll have my time before my age, thanks to being in the library, thanks to contributing into that program and being able to transfer everything over. So between being in the library, subbing, I was in the New York State Teachers Retirement System. So combining all 3 systems together, I already have 13 years in the system, and I've only been working 7. So, while everyone that was hired with me is still working, I'll be down in Florida somewhere enjoying my retirement. If I'm lucky to retire when I'm 55, I may not want to retire. Who knows? You never know what's going to happen.
It's so difficult to explain this to teens, and I don't think a lot of people can look at that far forward to retirement, but many do and take advantage of that, and you'll be one of those people. If you were to retire down the line, what do you think you would want to do as your second career?
Oh man, second career. Wow. Well, it will most likely be in the world of fitness.
Ah,
I really think fitness is very, very important. It's under the umbrella of physical education. We do all the
mm-hmm.
games and sports and everything to keep people fit, but I, I'm not really an athlete anymore. I mean, I play sports here and there. I really don't have time to join teams anymore, unfortunately, between, working until 6, 7 o'clock sometimes and doing my long commute home. I just like going to the gym now, and I just like competing against myself and just, you know, setting the bar higher each and every time I go to the gym. So I think down the line, once I retire from teaching, I'll be in teaching, but it would be on a more one-on-one level and probably just personal training when I retire from teaching.
I do remember that I would have to pull away a lacrosse stick from you frequently in the library. That I think that probably was the sport that you enjoyed the most. Does that bring you joy to teach in your school sports that you really enjoyed and
So it's
passing on your knowledge?
I do love it. I really enjoy it a lot. And, I teach a lot of sports that students never even heard of at our school, or they've heard of it, but they never really had an opportunity to experience it. So that brings me a lot of joy. But what's funny that you mentioned that is the reason why I went into teaching is because I wanted to coach lacrosse. And now the funny part is I'm very far from the person that made me want to get into the career because I'm not coaching lacrosse right now. I'm coaching girls softball and boys basketball. The softball and baseball were the total opposite of what lacrosse players wanted to do. But if I had to choose a second sport to do during the spring, it would definitely be baseball because I'm a big baseball fan. But it's funny because I'm not coaching lacrosse anymore, and that's the reason why I wanted to go into the profession. But that is one of my favorite pastimes. It will always be my favorite pastime, and I hope to get back to that and be able to coach lacrosse. And I actually turned down a job because it was in Manhattan, and that's a way big commute for me because I'm in
Yes.
Brooklyn, and Brooklyn to Manhattan is tough. So I turned down a job um, coaching lacrosse because of distance, but I hope to get back there one day.
Maybe one question I had remaining was, since you're working over at the school now, did you forge any connections over at Brentwood Library that helped you transition over to working over at the school?
Um, maybe when I was subbing, it helped me get into, how to become a substitute teacher. But in the only other connection I forged was um, with the job coach that brought interns over to take that step to the job that I was doing between subbing and getting my full-time teaching job. That's an important relationship that I forged.
Excellent.
Do you have any comments that you wanted to say about working at the library?
It will always be one of my favorite memories of all time, and it's something that I'm very thankful for. It helped me for my career that I'm currently doing. It's setting me up for my future because I was able to pay into the pension program, and I'm very fortunate and thankful for that opportunity. Will always enjoy that opportunity.
Well, thank you so much, Robert, for coming on to the show today and sharing your thoughts and your memories with us. Really appreciate you taking the time out for this.
I
And
appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Thanks for
All right.
joining us, Rob. Thanks for
Thanks
taking the
for having
time. I
me. Always a
appreciate it.
pleasure.
have a good
Anytime.
one now.
All
You
right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you again to Celia and Robert for taking the time to join Brentwood Stories. And thank you as always to the Brentwood Historical Society for making this podcast possible. Keep listening for more Brentwood Bios coming your way soon. Today's music was brought to you by Dr. Turtle. You can find this track and more at freemusicarchive.org.